Thanks for joining us. I see everyone is decked out in different shades of green here today, and I put on my shamrock tie. Only comes out of the closet maybe once a year, you know.
That's a sharp tie.
So it's obviously the month of March. It's St. Patrick's Day. We're going to be talking a little bit about that. Other celebrations that happen in the month of March.
Well, I wouldn't exactly call it a celebration, but more like a commemoration. It is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, and we have a guest that will be talking to us a little bit more about that. It's really important that we kind of take that seriously. But there's also an event that's coming up. That's kind of a lot of fun. That's meant to raise awareness for colorectal cancer and the importance of getting screened.
And that event is?
That would be the Celebrity Chef Cook-Off, and you and I will be taking part in that.
Second year we will be there. It's more fun than a colonoscopy, but you know, both important things.
And Chef Mario, our house chef, as well as Bill Alexander, they're co-hosts on the Mario Cooks radio show on WMBS 590, and make regular appearances here on Going Live. They'll be cooking there too. But I think we've talked over our friend here a little bit too much.
Yes. So the lovely young lady with you, Dave.
We know her, but the rest of the world needs to as well. This is Miss Allison Tilly Lee, and she is a Going Live with FCTV intern.
Now, Tilly, we know a great deal about you because you went through the interview process and enjoyed this. But for our viewers at home, why don't you tell them what's your background? Where did you go to school? What did you study? All that good stuff. 30-second bio.
Sure. Well, I went to WVU, Holmstrom University.
Just kidding.
And I majored in print journalism. I have my minor in comm, and I did have my digital proficiency certificate. So right now, I graduated in December. I'm interning here, getting some more digital experience. And actually, I worked at the Boston Beanery throughout college, and I think today we have a guest from the Boston Beanery.
Absolutely.
For our
That's a
cooking
great
demo.
segue, Tilly.
Yeah, that's
they
pay big money for segues between conversations like that. So
Let's take the focus off me.
Yeah.
I understand our friends from the Boston Beanery will be making us some shepherd's pie today, which is an Irish classic.
Traditional Irish classic. Now, as probably traditional as shepherd's pie is bagpipe music.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you can't think of St. Patrick's Day without a little bit of bagpiping.
We've got a legendary bagpiper with us today, Patrick Regan. He's played his pipes in the Middle East. He's played in Texas. He's played a lot of funerals for military and first responders. But as he has told me, you know, bagpipes aren't just for sad occasions; they're for happy occasions too. And I can see the amount of joy that he has for his music.
Now, you went to lunch not long ago with Patrick to discuss the show and everything. Did he wear the kilt?
He went to lunch in character.
In character?
And we actually did stop by the Boston Beanery, so we're segueing back to that.
Perfect.
I know the Boston Beanery has an event coming up.
Okay, it's a 5K?
It's a 5K. It's been happening for like 21 years or something, and it's for a good cause. I believe it raises money for Fayette County Community Action.
Now, if I'm correct, this year it's going to be taking place on March the 17th, and that's a Sunday morning, pretty early in the morning, before I kind of see the light of day, I think, on a Sunday. But so the race is going to be, again, March 17th. Contact person is Adele Lisa Dean, and Adele's number is 724-437-6050, and that's extension 4306.
Tilly, do you like to run 5Ks?
Back in my day.
Back in your day.
High school.
Now, we have another
Get back
intern
into
who is not with us on the couch today, but helped to secure some of our guests, Deborah Martinelli. And Deborah was a runner, so maybe we'll get her up here for
the 5K.
For the 5K. So a lot of great stuff that's going on. Dave, I also see here there's a note that on that same weekend, on Saturday, March 16th, so that's the day before, the Senior Stride is going to be sponsored by Upper Room, and seniors try to walk as many laps as possible in 1 hour. Tickets for various prizes for each lap. And afterwards, there is a 5-yard
diaper derby.
Diaper derby for babies and toddlers. And that's sponsored by Sproul's Insurance Company. So for more information about those events, you can go to fccaa.org. FACE.org.
That stands for Fayette County Community Action Agency.
So I apologize for reading that info off the card, but I wanted to make sure it was right. There's a lot of great stuff coming up, but you know, bagpipers get impatient.
That's right. We better get this thing rolling.
I think we got to get this thing rolling, or Patrick will just play right over us.
Yep.
He's done it before, and we'll do it again.
It's hard to talk over top of a bagpipe. That's
absolutely.
For sure.
So, ladies and gentlemen, why don't you put your hands together for the one, the only, the man with the pipes, Mr. Patrick Regan.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick Regan.
Hi, good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Yes,
Thanks
well
for being
done.
on our show.
Thank you.
I'm very surprised that you're not out of breath after that piece, but you are a professional at this.
Well, I am.
Can you talk a little bit about breath control and how you build the lung capacity to be able to do that?
Well, you smoke 3 packs a day. No, I'm just kidding about that. It's just something that you build up. When you first start out as a little kid or as an adult, you start out with an easy instrument. The reeds are vary in strength, and this is a fairly healthy instrument. It's not exceptionally strong. My oldest son plays in a top grade pipe band, and his bagpipe is just immensely difficult to play. But this is a solo instrument, and so it's got some brightness to it, but it's not exceptionally difficult. But a lot of the bagpipe is really learning the technique, blowing and breathing and squeezing and playing and moving around so you don't get shot. And it just takes practice, a lot like a bicycle, really. When you're first learning how to ride a bike, you can't stay up. You fall over. Once you learn, it's hard enough to actually fall over. And so this is the same way with the bagpipe. Once you get it going, it just goes.
That's a good analogy. Now, you mentioned your son.
Yes.
You are from a bagpiping family. Can you tell us a little bit
correct.
more about how you learned the trade? And then I understand you're also passing it down the line.
Well, that's true. My dad started me off. He was in the Royal Navy during the Second World War and heard the bagpipers in North Africa and vowed that if he survived the war, he'd learn how to play the bagpipe. But ironically, he didn't learn how to play the pipes until he immigrated to Texas. And there was a piper there who taught my dad, and then my dad in turn taught me. I always thought it was cool that my dad played, but I had no personal interest in playing the pipes until a kid in my Boy Scout troop asked my dad to teach him how to play. And I didn't like this kid, and so I took up the bagpipe out of jealousy. And so when we had kids and we started, they got to be old enough, I never really pressured them into it, but it was something that I encouraged them to play if they wanted. And all 4 of the kids play. Sean, my oldest, has really kind of taken it the furthest. He's actually a senior at Edinburgh University of Pennsylvania, majoring in music education using the bagpipe as his principal instrument.
Wow.
So, yeah, he's probably taken it the furthest.
Wow. Well, this, of course, is our St. Patrick's Day episode, and it's a time of the year when a lot of people tend to pay a little more attention or celebrate Irish and Scottish even heritage.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us a little bit about the story or the history of bagpiping?
Well, actually, yes. If you can get your audience to all turn in their pew Bibles to the 4th chapter of Genesis. In Genesis, we meet a man by the name of Jubal, who was, according to the Bible, the father of all who play the harp and the pipe. Now, I was told one time by probably somebody who's going to the wrong place, that it's not a bagpipe, it was actually a panpipe that they referred to. But think about it. The Hebrews were a monotheistic people. They believed in the God of the Bible. Pan was a Roman god, one of many, and so what do you think the odds are that the Hebrews would ever allow themselves to play something that came from an unclean religion?
Right.
In their view, unclean religion. And so this is actually the great grandchild of the ugav, or the pipe, as we see in the 4th chapter of Genesis. Now, if you go further up into the Bible, in the book of Daniel, now this is interesting. You've heard the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace, right? Well, Nebuchadnezzar, he was a bad guy, but one thing he had going for him is that he loved music. So as bad as he was, at least he supported the arts. And he decreed that whenever anybody had to bow down and worship his idol or get thrown into the fiery furnace, he would have instruments, all manner of musical instruments, and the bagpipe is specifically mentioned at that point. So maybe the pipers were on the wrong side of the fence that time, but they've been on the right side of the fence often enough to make up for that.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's certainly the bagpiping is alive and well, and you, I think, are helping to keep that alive by passing it down to your family. But it's still sort of an elite fraternity, these pipers, fraternity and sorority, I should say, because there are female pipers.
Oh, absolutely.
So talk about that bond that you share with your fellow pipers in that brotherhood.
Well, I'm actually researching that at the moment, in fact, and what you find is that I think because of the common repertoire, unlike most other instruments have, this enormous repertoire, and the guys in Pittsburgh have never heard of the music that the guys are playing in Dallas. In bagpipes, there's sort of a top 40. There's Scotland the Brave, Amazing Grace, and these are the tunes that everybody knows, but bagpipers know a lot of the same tunes. And if you play the bagpipe, and I tell this to my students, if you graduate, you leave, you go off to Johannesburg, South Africa, or Hong Kong, or Amman, Jordan, there are pipers all over the world. And if you walk into the band practice in the Sultanate of Oman, and you have your bagpipe, they'll say, "A bagpiper, what do you play?" And you say, "Oh, I play Scotland the Brave. Come on, let's play." And so immediately you have this common bond of music. When we first moved up here, it was for me to go to Carnegie Mellon University. And my teacher said, the band is practicing on Wednesday nights in the parking lot at CMU. I walked up, and there's this band, and there's a bunch of old people. I mean, old people playing the bagpipe. And I'm thinking, well, that's unusual for a college band to be that, these elderly people, they must have been like in their 40s or something. And I just stood there, and I noticed on the bass drum, it said McDonald Band of Pittsburgh. And I thought, this is a cool town that I've come to, where you can actually go into a parking lot and you're supposed to see one pipe band, but they're not there, but that's okay because there's another pipe band there. How many pipe bands are there here? And I was just standing there, and this guy comes up to me and he says, "Do you like the bagpipe?" I said, "Yeah, I like bagpipes." He says, "Well, would you like to learn how to play the bagpipe?" I said, "Well, yeah, that's why I'm here. Let me introduce you to the head of the band, the pipe major, who's now a student of mine, by the way." And he came up and he introduced me to Bob Blatchley, who's a great piper down in Bethel Park and an excellent teacher in his own right. And that's when I sort of raised my true colors. I said, "Well, I actually already play the bagpipe. My name is Patrick Regan." And of course, "Oh, you're Patrick Regan." It's like people are scared of me until they get to know me. And we had a great time. We went out for a pint that night, and these people became my first friends in Pittsburgh. And they've continued to be friends. And that's just the proof is in the pudding that you can go anywhere if you're a piper and you've got friends who are also pipers.
Wow. Well, we'll let you take this off. I'm sure it's getting heavy, but how much does it weigh, by the way?
Well, you tell me.
Uh-oh.
You drop it and
Now, what's the proper...
just grab it there.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, not quite as heavy as I thought, but I
Not
imagine
too.
it gets, you know, over
The
a
funny
period
thing
of time.
is, if I'm just holding the bagpipe, it does get heavy. If it's on my shoulder, I can't feel it. And playing it, I could play the bagpipe just till I got fed up or just went over and get a Dr. Pepper afterwards, you know. But on the shoulder, you can hardly feel it. And I don't know why that is. Maybe just the bagpipe wants to be played. So.
Well, folks, Patrick Regan, one of the finest pipers in the land, thank you for joining us. And if
pleasure.
you liked what you saw, tune in. Stay tuned for more of the show. Patrick will be playing us out today. Stay with us. We'll have more Going Live with FCTV in a moment.
Do you have a buy local card?
Yes, I have one.
I do.
Yeah, I have one.
I use mine every day.
Where's your buy local card?
Use your Buy Local card to save money at restaurants, grocery stores, retail shops, tourist attractions, and service providers. Cards can be purchased online at www.buylocalfayette.org or by calling 724-437-7913.
Savor the flavor of Fayette. Buy local.
Well, thanks for staying with us. Dave, you and the bagpiper there sure could talk. You went on for quite some time.
I think people are, I mean, we're all, at least I can speak for myself, a lot of us are in the dark about the art of bagpiping and the history of it, so I know I learned a lot.
Joining us on the couch is Greg Atkins. Is that Akins? Okay.
Akins, yep.
Now, Greg, have you ever played the bagpipes before?
I have not, but I had a bagpiper play at my wedding. And
You did?
Yeah, they're great. I love bagpipes.
Marched you in, marched you out?
Exactly, yep.
They're good at that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, it was
about
perfect.
it. Yeah. Okay, so Greg, you're going to talk to us a little bit today about beer brewing. You brew in your house, I understand.
Yep.
And you're an award winner at this point.
Yeah.
Because you received the Judge's Choice Award at the Connellsville Tangled Up in Brew competition last October.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yep.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got your start in brewing?
Okay, sure. So I've had some friends make beer before, and I've always thought it was interesting. A couple of years ago, a guy approached me and said that he had been given all the equipment to make beer, but he didn't want to do it. He wasn't sure if he'd really get into it, and he wouldn't make that much beer and have to consume it. So he asked, and I said, I'll partner with you. We'll split it up. And that got us started, and after that, really didn't look back. Just kept getting into it and making more beer and trying different things.
Now, beers have different stouts, different flavors, so on and so forth. Do you make one type, or you make multiple types?
I make a few different types, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's a really wide range of different styles. Some of them are easier to make, some of them are a lot more difficult. I tend to stick with simpler ones. I really like ales, and I'll make a stout, which is what I brought with me today, IPAs, an Irish red ale. They're not that complicated. The things I enjoy drinking, so that's what I make.
Sure. So let's talk a little bit more about your history. I guess maybe a lot of college students come in contact with beer every now and again, but you were within smelling distance of the Budweiser plant.
Yep.
So did that influence your decision to make beer at all, or did you get to ever see the plant?
I did see the plant. I'm not sure that it influenced my decision to make beer, but it's one of those things. Smells can bring back such nostalgia around things. So when I first started making beer, and I felt the smells kind of wafted off the mash that I was getting ready, and it smelt just like that brewery that I live so close to. That just brought back some good memories, and I think that kind of reinforced what I was doing. So.
Sure. So there's a real science to what you're doing, and maybe an art, some people would call it.
Yeah.
The first time you made it, did it come out perfect, or did you have some issues
It
you
actually
had to work
came out,
through?
the first time I made it, it came out really well.
Okay.
What we did the first time we made beer is we used a kit. Kits are really a great way to get started. Everything's there that you need, detailed instructions on how to put it together. It makes it really simple for a new brewer. And the first beer we made turned out really great. Everybody we shared it with really liked it. And again, just more motivation for me to keep going.
And what was that first one? Do you remember what?
It was an Irish red ale.
Oh, okay.
And it was just kind of a straightforward beer. Compare it to like a Killian's that you would see in a bar. Yeah, and it was great.
So you've mentioned kits and equipment, and is beer making an expensive hobby to jump into, or it sounds like there's some things you have to purchase up front.
There are some expenses. I would say that you could get into it for as little as $80 to $100. Again, and going with a kit and going with some.
You could spend that on a few beers at a Pirates game.
Exactly, exactly.
Like 3 beers at a Pirates game. Yeah.
Pirates game. But at the other end of the spectrum, you can spend thousands of dollars on equipment. People that are really into it and get into more of the technical aspect of putting the equipment together, put together really elaborate systems for controlling the heating and the cooling and the flame and everything else. And you can put a lot of money into it. So.
Now, I'm told you're one of maybe about 1 million Americans that brew beer at home. Is there exchange between other brewers? Do you guys get to talk at all and share successes? Or?
Yeah, actually, there's locally, well, not local to Uniontown, but in the area in Pittsburgh, there's a home brewing group that gets together once a month, the Three Rivers Association of Serious Home Brewers. They're not that serious, but it makes for a good acronym, TRASH.
Yes.
So they get together once a month, and that's a good time to sit around and sort of share experiences, and you can take your beers there and let other people try them out, people that maybe have a better palate for that sort of thing. There's a few websites out there where there are forums where you can get online, share recipes, get advice from other home brewers. So yeah, I think there is a lot of exchange of ideas, and there's a lot of festivals like Tangled Up and Brew, opportunities for judging, things like that as well.
I was just going to ask, something came to me. Do you cook with beer at all? Do you put beer in your soup or anything like that?
Couple interesting stories around that. Tangled Up and Brew was a food pairing event. So we brought the beer, but we also brought some food. I brought an Irish stew to go with my Irish stout, which was a good pairing.
Sounds great.
But I happened to go camping once, and I took some of my beer with me. And I just out of curiosity, I took just a bowl of that pre-made rice that you get. You boil it in water. It's real quick to make. Poured a little bit of beer in with it. Tasted excellent. So I think I'm an upcoming chef.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of basting a ham with beer, especially a dark beer, a little bit of brown sugar, and keep it wet while you cook it. But Chef Mario probably has more beer recipes if we'd ask him a little later on. So you talked about Tangled Up in Brew. It was last fall. Your winning beer was named Mouth of Madness after a John Carpenter horror film. And what made that beer stand out?
Well, I've made that beer a few times, and you get varying results. It's really hard to get a consistent result in a beer because there's so many variables. That one happened to turn out really well. I got the Judges' Choice Award, and I think judging is usually done with consistency to the style, and I think I really hit the nail on the head with that one, so that got me the award. But the Mouth of Madness is sort of an interesting twist because with beer you're looking for a good mouth fill. So I thought that was kind of a fun name for a stout, which is usually a thick, heavy, something that you should really fill in your mouth. So.
Absolutely. So we have a few glasses here. You mind if we take a little taste?
No, not at all.
Would you do the honor of pouring for
absolutely.
us? Now, what temperature do you want to store a beer at?
It varies a little bit. Lighter beers you want to store a little bit colder, maybe down at like 34 degrees for a really cold beer. A stout you usually want to keep a little bit warmer.
Sure.
Maybe in the 40-degree range.
Now, you mentioned the name of one of the beers, Mouth of Madness. What are some other names that you've given your home brews before?
I try to name all my beers, I'm not sure why I got into the habit after horror movies. So I've got Mouth of Madness. I make another one that I call Evil Dead Red, which is a hoppy red ale, and I make one called Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it's made out of Amarillo hops, Texas, and it's a very high alcohol content beer, so the Massacre.
Sure. So you want to hand one over to Dave, and there's one for yourself.
Thank you, Greg.
We could take a little taste here.
It's got a nice head on it.
It is. That's Now, would you consider this would be something that's relatively dark? That's
This is a stout.
A stout,
So
okay.
yeah, and keeping with the theme, a nice Irish stout. So.
Works in with the theme of today's show. So we have just a moment or two for this segment before we have to move on with the show and get in a sponsorship break. But what advice would you give to someone else who is looking to get into the beer making hobby?
You know, I think not to get too overwhelmed by sort of the array of options out there. I mean, to go get a kit and a kit to make the beer, and then a kit of ingredients, and follow the instructions. It's pretty simple. You can make mistakes, but the process is fairly forgiving. You know, I think a lot of people just don't know where to start. Go to the local home brewing store. They'll kind of point you in the right direction. If you really want to, go to one of the meetings and have someone else help you out. But really, it's pretty straightforward. So I think just jump into it and get started if you're interested.
Hey, sounds great. Thanks for bringing some for us to taste here today. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
We're going to go ahead and enjoy these, and we'll be back in just a moment or two with Going Live with FCTV. We've been talking all about the Irish. We're going to take a short trip to Ireland with Chrome, the world-traveling flight attendant, in just a few minutes. We'll be right back.
A few years ago, I was at a dead end, underemployed, with no idea of where my life was headed. Then I enrolled at the Pennsylvania Institute of Health and Technology's School of Healthcare Careers and discovered a great career and great life was only months away. Now, I've started the career of my dreams, and the future couldn't be brighter.
The School of Healthcare Careers at the Pennsylvania Institute of Health and Technology offers career-focused, hands-on training for these in-demand fields. Call 724-437-4600 or visit piht.edu for information.
Hey, thanks for sticking with us.
I'm feeling refreshed.
You're feeling refreshed? I still have a little bit left here in my glass. Now, Dave, if I worked for a newspaper, the editor would probably fire me because I would have to print retractions. You know, sometimes I don't know what I'm thinking. I just go with something. Joining us on the couch is Chomi, but for some reason before the break I called her Chrome. I changed it.
She's probably not gotten that one before, right?
Yes, I have.
You have a couple times?
Yes.
So you are the world traveler. You're a flight attendant, originally from Fayette County, and you've been flying for 27 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you're currently with U.S. Airways. Is that correct?
They're having a little bit too much fun back in the control room.
I think they are. I thought I was getting yelled at for a minute. Whoa, okay. So let's talk a little bit about being a flight attendant. How did you get a start in the industry? What?
Well, you look for places that are hiring through the internet, and you find out where the local interviews are taking place, and you fill out an application form and you attend those areas of interest, and you're interviewed amongst hundreds of other people.
Now, so for you yourself, though, did you know that was something that you wanted to do from early on, or you just kind of happened upon the opportunity?
No, actually a local woman here from Uniontown is at fault. She was applying for the job. She asked me to go with her. Of course, she didn't take the job. I did, and that was Joanne Ritchie of Uniontown. So that's why.
So you went on an interview with a friend and took her job.
Well, we both were interviewed.
So we're talking about St. Patrick's Day today on the show, and you've been around the world. You've been to Dublin before.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about some of your memories of Ireland? What are some of the landscapes, cuisines? I've never had the opportunity to be there.
Well, it's amazing. Dublin is a beautiful country. The landscapes are breathtaking. The people are fabulous. They're funny. They're interesting. They're friendly. However, it's amazing that they can all understand Americans speaking English, but we can't understand them. But in any case, it's a wonderful place to visit. I enjoyed touring the Guinness factory, the Waterford factory. There's a bar downtown called Brazen Head. It's the oldest bar in Dublin, and there's hundreds of different choices of beers, tap, bottled, unbelievable. Then the Irish stew, of course, with dumplings, and it's just a fun place to visit. They've also in the last few years have built a brand new airport that is just one of the best in the area of Europe. So it's really nice.
Sure. So are some of the stereotypes that maybe we have through movies or television here, are some of them true about the cuisine they eat? Are there maybe as many potatoes consumed as people say?
Yes, absolutely. Unbelievable.
What was your favorite dish while you were over there?
Well, you know, I'm not much of a food addict, so, you know, I stick to the basics.
Sure.
And, you know, they all have fish and chips, and they have their stews, and I really couldn't go into a lot of detail about the foods.
Okay. Well, how about Scotland? Have you been in Scotland before?
Yes, I love Scotland. Edinburgh Castle was phenomenal. And as you walk the streets, you see a lot of the bagpipe players with their kilts, you know, spread out amongst the city, playing. I actually went to a store that customized kilts for you. I took a friend of mine with me, and he had a kilt made, and it was just so pleasant and so a friendly atmosphere. It was really nice.
Are the kilts daily wear over there?
Yes, for those who wear them. I mean, you know, the common people who have regular jobs, no, of course not. But you do see them everywhere all the time.
Sure. So you're a world traveler. You've been further than just over in Dublin, just in Scotland. You've also seen the Mayan pyramids and some other great attractions around the world. Why don't you tell us a little bit about them, or maybe your favorite item you've been able to travel to see?
Well,
that may be a hard one for you.
Well, the Mayan pyramids are in a lot of different areas. I've visited them in Guatemala, in Mexico, in Belize, and you know, they're still uncovering a lot of them. So it's amazing that all of that took place so many years ago with such precise and accurate detail. But anyway, yes, I've also been to Iguazu Falls, which is in Argentina, well, north of Argentina. They're a bit larger than Niagara Falls, but we took a boat trip underneath them, and it's just amazing and just beautiful. But I think probably the most fascinating one of all, no matter where I've been all over the world, is coming back here to the United States and seeing the Grand Canyon. It's just...
Haven't made it out there yet.
You have to.
Yeah.
It's a must.
So as you travel around domestically and internationally, do you pick up maybe different phrases or different languages a little bit, or?
Well, you know, if you're going over, and that's for the people watching just on a vacation, you don't have to worry about the language. You know, English is everywhere, thank goodness. But if you've traveled as many times as I have because of a job, you do pick up, you know, sentences here and there, and it kind of makes you feel good to try to talk their language, and they appreciate it as well. So just a little bit here and there. I haven't actually studied a language. I do know Spanish, but I haven't studied anything else.
Can you teach me some Portuguese? I'm going to Brazil here.
You know, I'm sorry for you because I can't speak Portuguese, and not too many other people do as well. That is not one of the common languages.
Right. You better bone up on that quick,
yes.
Dave.
I'm getting there.
So on your travels, what's the most surprising custom, so to say, that you've come across?
Well, you know, it's not surprising, but it's so constitutional, and that's the changing of the guard at the Buckingham Palace in England. You know, that has been going on forever and ever, and it has not changed, not one bit. And those men just stand there, whether it's 90 degrees or 30 degrees, and they're just motionless, and they're so concentrated, and it's just amazing. I enjoy that.
Sure, absolutely. So your favorite, or not your favorite, but a place that you've longed to visit that you haven't been able to. Do you have?
Oh, there's quite a few.
I have a few places on the list.
Yes.
Okay. So what are they?
Well, I'm working on a trip to the North Pole.
Okay.
Wow. And I want to go to India, and I want to go to South Africa, and I want to go to Russia. So that's a few.
So are there commercial flights that go to and from the North Pole on a regular basis, or?
Well, not to my knowledge, not yet. I haven't found one, but I think you have to go to Finland or Denmark, and you take a boat trip
Okay.
to the North Pole. So I'm working on that now.
Well, that's would definitely be an accomplishment to get up there and,
You can do
and
some
to be
ice
able to see
fishing.
that.
Whatever.
You didn't strike me for an ice fisher, but
No,
I
but-
could always be wrong.
See, I'm a good reader. I saw it in her eyes.
So after each trip, you always come back to the place you call home, back to Fayette County. What's unique about our area? If you had to give an elevator speech to someone who was on your plane and say, visit Fayette County, what would you tell them is unique about our local area?
Well, I think, it's very family-oriented, and it's a friendly area. I think living here, rather than in Florida or the West Coast, I think the weather is more stable here, and there's no worries of tornadoes and hurricanes and earthquakes.
Right.
And I think the cost of living is fantastic. I think the children are raised beautifully by parents who are concerned about their education, and I just think it's a really wholesome kind of place, and I think it's beautiful. You know, the mountains, and we have Pittsburgh nearby that's very cultural, and of course my family, my friends are here, and the fact that I don't pay rent or have a mortgage is fabulous.
Those are pluses no matter where you live. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's green, and I like that, and I think anyone would understand that from being from a hometown.
Sure,
a small
absolutely.
area, safe.
You know, you mentioned lack of natural disasters. We have a periodic blizzard out here, but I was taken to Southern California for the better part of a year for work, and while I was out there, I lived through a wildfire, and there were a couple earthquakes that didn't come real close to me, but they came close enough. That's something that in southwestern PA we just don't deal with any of those kind of things.
Yep.
No, it's very nice not to have to worry about that.
So so those are some great things. Well, I thank you very much for coming on the show and sharing some of your experiences with us. If you make some of those bucket list places and you want to come back and talk about them, if once you've been to the North Pole, we're welcome to have you back.
Thank you.
So we have a lot more of the show coming up here today. We have a food demo with the Boston Beanery, and after our next break, we'll be joined by Dr. Frederick Ruthart of Southwestern Gastrointestinal Specialists, and we'll be talking a little bit about how the month of March is
Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month.
There you go. You got it, Dave. We'll be back after these brief messages.
Do you have a buy local card?
Yes, I have one.
I do. Yeah, I have one. I use mine every day.
Where's your buy local card?
Use your Buy Local card to save money at restaurants, grocery stores, retail shops, tourist attractions, and service providers. Cards can be purchased online at www.buylocalfayette.org or by calling 724-437-7913.
Savor the flavor of Fayette. Buy local.
Well, hey, thanks for staying with us throughout the show. We've had a lot of interesting St. Patrick's Day guests on today. Not necessarily related to St. Patrick's Day, but related to the month of March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. And joining us here on the couch is Dr. Frederick Ruthart of Southwest GI. I guess sometimes they abbreviate it, but Gastrointestinal Specialists. And we welcome you for being here with us today,
Thanks,
Doc.
Matt. Thanks, Dave. I'm glad to be here. That's an honor.
So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Let's talk about something that people don't like to throw out front, maybe the elephant in the room, but colorectal cancer, warning signs, getting tested. What's your recommendations?
Colorectal cancer, unfortunately, doesn't have a lot of great warning signs, and oftentimes it's discovered when it's too late. There's a problem, you need surgery. Fortunately, though, with our ability to do screening tests, we're able to identify people before they get colon cancer, and colon cancer starts off as what are called polyps. They can be removed, and then the cancer can be prevented. Colon cancer is actually one of the only cancers that's pretty much almost completely preventable. There are some signs and symptoms that people can get. That would be bleeding, abdominal pain, especially a change in your bowel habit, those sort of things. But unfortunately, for the most part, it's actually a silent killer, but we can effectively find it and treat it before it becomes a problem.
Okay, so you mentioned getting screening. At what age should people start doing that?
That's a great question. For the general population, it's recommended that at age 50 you start screening. And then there's a sort of a special group of people that we call those that are at high risk. And these are people who have a close relative, either a parent or a brother or sister or even a child, who have either had colon polyps or colon cancer. And that group of people we like to screen starting at age 40. There are a few exceptions too. Sometimes we find polyps in people in their 20s, and we'll even start people in their teens. But for the most part, for the most general population, it's age 50. For a small special group of high-risk patients, it's age 40.
Absolutely. Now, I'm one of those high-risk people. I've had the procedure done before and been screened. It is not as, I guess, how do I want to say this? It's not as bad as people make it out to be sometimes.
Just about everybody tells me that
it?
every day. You know, that was really easy. I was all worried about nothing. The toughest part about it is getting ready for it, is taking the prep. But when you have the examination, we do the examination in our endoscopy center. You're very comfortable. You get anesthesia. You're completely asleep. You have no pain or discomfort. And most people have no recollection or memory of having it all. So they wake up, and the most #1 asked question is, when are you going to start? And we're done. So it's one day out of your life that may save your life, and it's a very worthwhile effort to do this.
Absolutely. Now, what are some other services that Southwest GI offers there in the facility?
Well, we offer pretty much a full range of all gastroenterology services, but one of the things that we're the most proud of is infusing Remicade. This is a medication for people who have what's called Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. And we just put an addition on our building where we have a beautiful infusion room. The patients who are on this medication, they come in about every 8 weeks or so. They get the medication. It's given over a 2-hour period. We have Kindle Fires that they can watch movies on. They can just relax. Some people sleep, listen to music. It's a pleasant experience. And up until we started doing this, the patients would have to go to Pittsburgh. And we infuse about 100 patients a month, so that would be about 1,200 people who now can save that trip and just have it done locally. We also do some special things to measure people who have swallowing troubles, people who have acid reflux. We do the whole spectrum of gastroenterology services in Uniontown.
When I visited the facility the other day, preparing for this segment, I was very impressed by the infusion lab. Not only the comfortable environment you have there, but also the friendly faces up there to kind of greet the patients, and also the waiting areas are more private than what you might get at another doctor's office.
They are. They're very private, and it actually has a beautiful view of the mountains. So it's a very calm, nice experience to have it. As well as when we do our colonoscopies, each patient gets their own room versus some other facilities where you have curtains between you and you can hear what's going on. Unfortunately, sometimes we do need to give people some bad news, not very often, thankfully, but here we can do it in a private, closed environment and respect the patient's dignity and their privacy.
Now, part of that not giving the bad news that often is because patients come in and get checked on a regular basis.
They come in and get checked and screened. The primary care doctors in our area are excellent in screening their patients. The advent of electronic medical records now, just about any time you have an interaction with a primary care doctor, they're going to get up on their computer screen, has the person had a colon cancer screening. They'll also have things for pap tests, mammograms, that sort of thing. But we've seen a large increase in the amount of patients, whoops, get this back on here, who are being screened appropriately because of electronic medical records sort of reminding their primary care doc that they're over 50 or that they have a family history and it's time to get screened.
Now, if a potential patient would be interested in coming and looking at the facility, I've made decisions a couple times based on a recommendation to go see a doctor, but then once I get there, I'm thinking, man, is this really where I chose to go? Do you welcome potential patients to come in and meet with a physician or to look at the office at all?
Patients are always welcome to take a look. One of our staff can give you a tour of the endoscopy center or of the office. Most people come based, like you said, on a referral, and we pride ourselves in the appearance of our center. It's an extremely clean facility. It's run by professionals. I think anybody would be really happy with their experience at our center.
Yeah, it's a great local center and offering a need, as you pointed out. people don't have to drive quite as far. And I don't know if the general public knows until you're in that situation where you need those treatments, how hard that trip on top of maybe being ill or needing that treatment would be.
You're exactly right. And we make it so that it's close to home. And we realize what you've been through the night before, since all of us have had ours done. And it can be a very anxiety-provoking experience, but most people, again, are so calm and relaxed after it's all over that we're just happy to go out and get a bite to eat and take a nap.
So March is Awareness Month, and there's an awareness event that's coming up that you're involved in. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, it's on March 23rd at 6 p.m. at the Lakeside Party Center, and it's the Colon Cancer Alliance guest chef night. And what happens with this is we have celebrity chefs from all over the county, and they make a wide variety of dishes. We'll have Andrew Stocky from the television news station there, and the chefs are judged on different categories, desserts, entrees, and you get to vote for them, and it's a very nice event. A lot of fun, a lot of camaraderie, but it's all for an extremely good cause.
Absolutely, it's a great time to go out, as we mentioned earlier in the show. Dave and myself and Chef Mario and his co-host of Mario Cooks, or the Mario Cook Show, Bill Alexander, will be out there. So there's 4 of us that will be celebrity chefs, and Dave and I were there last year. It was a great time.
It's a great time.
And really, you get to see a lot of people from the Fayette County area coming out and supporting a good cause and helping to build awareness about something that could really save someone's life.
Exactly.
Some neat items auctioned off generally there as well.
Very neat items auctioned off. The community is very giving, and local businesses giving gift certificates or for spa treatments, for example, or for jewelry, and then it's a silent auction, and all the proceeds go to the Colon Cancer Alliance.
And Doctor, I understand you have tickets available at your facility, right?
Tickets are available at our office. It's 437-7677, and the phone usually answers from 8 to 5, and you can come in and get tickets.
Sure. And you're accepting new patients at the facility as well?
We're always accepting new patients, yes. We've, over the years, we've been steadily increasing the amount of doctors. We now have 5 doctors. And to complement that, we have 6 physician's assistants, and we've just hired 2 physician's assistants who are local. Ashley Miller's from Connellsville, went to Connellsville High School, and Katie Siemens that went to Laurel Highlands High School.
WVU alum like me.
And a WVU alum, exactly. And they're instrumental in helping us see patients in a timely manner. When patients have problems, it's important that they can get seen within a reasonable time period, and our physician's assistants have allowed us to do that.
Well, Doc, thanks for being on. Thanks for talking about, like I said, something that people may not say is the most fun topic in the world, but an important conversation to have. And thanks for being with us. We look forward to the Celebrity Chef Cook-Off. Once again, that's going to be March 23rd.
6 p.m.
6
at
p.m.
the Lakeside Party Center. I look forward to seeing you there, too.
Sounds great. If you'll stick around with us for just a few moments longer, we have a brief break, and then afterwards, we'll be joined by Boston Beanery, Chef Mario Pareca, and maybe even Bill Alexander. I'm not sure. But great stuff coming up. Stick around.
Promotional consideration by Andrew D. Ferguson Funeral Home, 80 Morgantown Street in Uniontown, helping community families for over 110 years. The Andrew D. Ferguson Funeral Home offers pre-need counseling, cremation, and continual care, including bereavement support. Call 724-439-2577 or toll free at 866-439-2577.
Welcome back to Going Live with FCTV. I am Mario Pareca, and we're back here in the kitchen. You know that gentleman over there, Bill Alexander from the Mario Cook Show.
You know who I am this week.
What's that?
You know who I am this week, right?
Yeah, why?
Okay, because last time we were together, you were quite clueless.
I wasn't clueless. Sometimes I get tongue-tied. I get real excited. My mind works a lot faster than my mouth.
I know you got back from a cruise.
But we're here with Zach Getz from the Boston Beanery, and he's just the luckiest man in the room because he's got like a Mario and Bill sandwich going on right here. He's like the cream to our Oreo, if you will. But Zach, so what's going on today?
Well, basically the Boston Beanery is a Irish-style Boston pub, loosely based on that. And so every year we do a huge St. Patrick's Day party. This year we're actually doing it all weekend long since it falls on a Sunday. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we're just going to blow it out. We do a Irish platter is what we call it.
nice.
on St. Patrick's Day. And it has corned beef and cabbage and halushka, and then what we're going to be making today, shepherd's pie.
I love shepherd's
sounds
pie.
good.
Now, when you say you blow it out, you go out, you get the green beer, the whole 9 yards, everything.
The works. We get a bagpiper that comes out. We do. Last year we went through, I want to say, 8 kegs of green beer just on St. Patrick's Day, 4 kegs of Guinness.
Wow.
It's a good time.
We have a bagpiper here today. Did you talk to him?
I did not get the chance to talk to him yet, but I might be able to.
He might like shepherd's pie.
Yeah,
We'll
I
have to
think he
ask him.
might.
But so bagpipers, lots of beer, shepherd's pie, Irish platters. It sounds like one heck of a party. How long have you been doing this? How many different? Does this happen at all the Boston Beanery locations?
It does. Beaner's been around since 1983. It was started in Morgantown, but we've expanded now. There's 7, and they all throw the same party. There's a little variation here or there, but the platter remains the same anywhere you go. So that's a staple of the party. The green beer is everywhere as well.
So do you guys working there, do you get to join in the party at any point, or do you just have to let everyone else have fun?
We're not supposed to, but after that kind of a day, somewhere around 9, 10 o'clock at night, the party's still raging. We might jump in and have 1 or 2 just to take the edge off.
Be careful what you say.
Yeah, I was going to say you're on TV now.
That's okay. That's all right.
Oh, that's right. They can't see this in Morgantown, right?
So what's your favorite Irish? Is it shepherd's pie? Is that your favorite
I do.
Irish?
I look forward to it every year.
You eat a lot of it around St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so is, let's see, you just want to jump in and start showing us what's going on?
Now, this is on a micro level compared to what we do.
Okay.
In
How
the store.
many do you do at the
Typically, we do full hotel pans. So that would be probably about 7 of these would fit in one of those, and we do 12 of those.
And do you sell all of them?
And we do. We have people that literally the week of St. Patrick's Day, if say it's on a Sunday, the Monday before, will say, hey, you got that shepherd's pie ready? Can I get that platter? So they love it. And
Awesome.
They come out in droves for it. So we start off, shepherd's pie, actually, the history of it, real quickly, is just a bunch of stuff randomly that they had laying around, and they throw anything and everything in there.
So it was made by the shepherds?
Yes.
Okay,
and
there's
so
no shepherds in the pie.
There's no shepherds inside of it, luckily.
I was getting
And
afraid.
it started off with mutton or lamb, but it's kind of branched out into encompass a whole bunch of different ones. Obviously, different regions use different things. Ours is a special recipe that, probably before I was born, someone thought up.
That you're revealing to everyone
yes,
around the
tell
world
everyone.
today.
Right now, what we're doing is just a little bit of crumbled Italian sausage.
Okay.
That's kind of funny. You're using Italian in an Irish
Right.
dish, but it tastes good.
Hey,
and people
everything
come out
needs
for
a
it,
little
so,
Italian in it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you make a base layer of just some Italian sausage and crumble that up.
And that's pre-cooked?
That is pre-cooked Italian sausage. I actually pre-cooked everything today to kind of keep it on a shorter.
So, but if you're making it at home, you want to brown it off in a pan
You
first?
do, absolutely.
And then, okay.
So once you get the base layer covered with that, just kind of get it pressed out, crumbled down. Then what you do is you take some cabbage and onions, which we already sauteed up with some butter, and just spread that across the top.
Do you just saute them until they're soft, till they're
Until they're soft, about 4 or 5 minutes, just over high heat.
Okay.
And that brings it to where you want it, because we are still going to bake this afterwards.
Okay.
Then we take a layer of potatoes. We have a heaping mound of potatoes, so we'll probably cut
Good
that
old mashed
right in
potatoes.
half.
Bill likes mashed
Yeah.
potatoes.
That's one thing I can't make are mashed potatoes. I've actually had to call him for help using Facebook to help me make mashed potatoes.
You don't have any problem eating them, though?
No, not all. I love mashed potatoes.
So you're just going to put an even layer over there?
Just an even layer, then
Okay.
just spread that and cover it up. Next, we have a little bit of shredded cheese.
Is that cheddar?
That is cheddar and provolone mixed
Okay.
there, but if you have whatever laying around, I think all cheese is good cheese.
Absolutely.
So we'll just cover that layer with that.
Okay.
Then we've got 8 ounces of corned beef here. We're just going to use 4 for right now, and just kind of shred that up too with your hands. It doesn't have to be fancy. Obviously, it's something just that was thrown together the first time.
And one thing, unfortunately, you can't, on TV, we don't have smell-o-vision yet, at least not in this year's budget. It smells wonderful, because the cabbage and the corned beef and the cheese and everything started to blend together. It smells really good.
And you can't have St. Patrick's Day without corned beef,
No.
right? So we got all these layers
So we got
going
that layer
on.
going, then you take the rest of your mashed potatoes, really
Okay.
simple.
How much mashed potatoes do you
It's
generally?
actually, it's a little different when you're making this kind of, the portion size that we make, so we measure things in pounds.
Right.
But, this would probably be about 2 pounds of mashed potatoes,
Okay.
2 pounds of potatoes. But to make this batch, it took me probably about 12
Okay.
potatoes mashed up.
Now, do you think you could eat this whole thing yourself? in
I
one
tried
sitting?
once, but it didn't end well.
Didn't end well?
No, it was not pretty. So once you get that layer of potatoes on, you can put as many more in as you want. But
Okay.
we've got a nice coverage there. Take the rest of that corned beef, kind of shred it up, top
Okay.
it off.
Nothing wrong with that.
And this will pretty much go with any green beer that you serve there, right?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Now,
the
but-
salt level in this really makes them.
I'm
throw
sure-
it back
oh,
on
okay.
St. Patrick's Day.
Now the corned beef, is that corned beef that people, if they're making it at home, they can just buy at the grocery
They
store,
could, yeah, you can just get
pre-sliced from the
some
lunch meat counter?
pre-sliced,
Okay.
absolutely.
Do you make this at home a lot?
I can't say that I make it that much at home. I wait for us to do it for St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
Keeps it special.
So this isn't on the menu all the time.
This is
This
not
is
on
just
the menu
St.
all the
Patrick's
time,
Day.
just St. Patty's Day.
What are some of the favorites that are on the menu all the time for people who want to?
We feature a lot of different things. Our most popular dish probably is a grilled chicken salad, as simple as it is. But we do our own special twist, and we put French fries on the salad.
Okay.
And people just go crazy for that. We do a lot of grilled sandwiches. People love our grilled sandwiches, so we do a Monte Cristo really well. Our signature dish is a bean witch, which is literally 2 slices of thick Italian bread, Boston baked beans, bacon, and cheese. And it doesn't get any better.
Have you
than
ever
that,
had that before, Mark?
No, I haven't.
I have.
I've
one
been to the
huge
beanery a few
Italian.
times.
It is something. It is good.
Now, if you eat that, should you run immediately to your bathroom?
About 30
Or is it,
minutes. You get
okay,
about
30 minutes, great.
anyway,
so you have time to drink a beer and then
Yeah,
go to the bathroom.
yeah.
Okay, great.
So now once our pie is done, you just take that,
Okay.
throw it into an oven, 400 degrees, bake it for about 30, 45 minutes.
Okay.
Obviously everything is already pre-cooked, so you're really just trying to let the flavors
Let it all
mingle
come together?
Absolutely. And then we'll set that off to the side. We actually have a done one.
I hope so, because I'm hungry.
We have a done one.
This is a tough job, I'll
Oh,
tell
wow,
you.
that looks excellent.
And this is it right here. So you see how the cheese and everything kind of melts
Oh,
together,
yeah.
and those flavors just, they're fantastic together.
Well, do you have a drink to make now, right?
Yes, I do.
I'm going to let you do that because I'm going to stand here and eat for a minute.
Okay. What we have
Bill,
already
you
made-
can kind of...
No, it's okay. I'll watch you make the drink here.
Okay.
What we already have made is what we call a Lucky Leprechaun. It's one of our favorite drinks on St. Patrick's Day. We make big tubs of those as well. Everything is bigger on St. Patrick's Day at the Boston Beanery. So we'll just do a little bit of ice in there.
This is very good. I like the cabbage that's in there because you can't see it, but it kind of sneaks up
Oh,
on
yeah.
you. And the onions.
So we'll just do 1.25 ounces of Malibu coconut rum.
Okay.
Bill loves coconut.
I haven't met anyone that doesn't like this drink, so it's a crowd pleaser. Do about 1/2 ounce of blue curacao.
Bill, you want to try this?
I will after I watch
sit
you
right up
make
here.
this because I'm kind of.
And then you just fill the rest up with pineapple juice.
Okay.
So this is like an island delight.
Oh, it is. It doesn't really seem too Irishy, but
It's an island
you know,
delight
it's
for St.
green.
Patrick's Day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's green, and that's all we need it to be on St. Patrick's
It's
Day,
green
so.
and it's a dream.
Yep. So, and then just kind of toss it.
I was going to ask where the green came from, then I started all the colors blending together, and I went, oh, that makes sense.
And then once you're done, just top it off.
That reminds me of that stuff from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
The
The
ooze?
ooze,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you drink it, you're not going to turn into a turtle,
No,
are you? Okay,
no,
good.
Just top it with a lemon, and
Nice.
That's the name of it.
after about 10 of them, that's when you realize maybe
And you look in the mirror and you...
the oozes hit you.
That is good. That's very good. Pineapple-y. It's almost like a pina colada
It is,
type
yeah,
thing,
Yeah.
but it's not frozen. How many of those have you drank in one sitting before? Do you have a
Well,
record?
very sugary. I say 10, but it was probably more like 14. And then-
You lost
yeah.
track. Lost count after 10.
That alcohol content sneaks up
So,
on it, right?
yeah.
so is this a drink that's always on the menu, or is this a St. Patty's
That
Day?
is always on the menu, but we feature them on St. Patrick's Day. We do them, glasses for, varies by location. My location, we do it for $3
Okay.
all day long on St. Patty's Day. We do a lot of neat stuff, a lot of specials. Pots of Gold giveaway is one thing that we're doing.
You give away pots of gold.
Well, this is what it is. We just go to
Wow.
local businesses, get some stuff together,
Cool.
just have a raffle draw.
Oh, okay.
For anyone
Oh, nice.
that comes through, then they can win, whether it be a massage or a tanning
Massage.
package. Actually, the Morgantown location has a car starter that
Wow.
was generously donated to us, so we'll be giving that away. So it's
Awesome.
a great time. It really is.
So what you're saying is on St. Patrick's Day, the place to be is the Beanery.
In
Absolutely.
Get to, well, in Morgantown, but all
We
the
like
other
to say-
locations are all partying too,
Yeah,
right?
They are. And we like to say, get green at the bean. That's our
Get
that's our
green at the
thing.
bean. I could just see myself eating one of those, eating some shepherd's pie, drinking that drink, and having a massage at the same time while I start my car with the
Yeah,
remote.
there you go.
I mean, it's just it's like a win-win. Do you guys have a website you want to talk about, or anything else that
We
can-
do. Our website actually has come a long way from where it used to be, and we offer online ordering now. A bunch of different
cool.
things. So it's just as simple as bostonbeanery.com. It's
Nice.
BEANERY. And application process can go through the online system now. You can order online, a lot of neat things on there, a lot of neat photos. We have photos from every location. You can pick which one's closest to you, and then see St. Patty's Day photos from every location are up there as well.
So if I order online, I can order before I come in, it'll be ready for me?
It will.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
And you do takeout too, correct?
Yes, we do.
You can order takeout?
It's a good part of our business, absolutely.
Wow. Well, that's awesome.
It's a great
Yeah,
idea.
and the shepherd's pie's great. The drink's great. I want to thank you for being here. If there's anything else you want to say, feel free to
Come
throw
out
it
and
out.
visit us on March 15th, 16th, and 17th. That's it.
You should probably say hi to your mom. There you go. All right. Well, thanks for being here, Zach.
Appreciate it,
It was very
guys.
nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you.
Nice to
Well,
meet
we
you.
are
Nice
going
to
to
meet
throw
you
it
too.
back to Patrick. He's going to be playing some bagpipes for us right here on St. Patty's Day. So let's eat some shepherd's pie, listen to some bagpipes, and pretend we're Irish for a while, huh?
There we go.
All right. Thanks.